So today we are doing two variable phase diagram. Okay. So what is drawn here on the right side is a standard phase diagram. I mean, that's how a phase diagram will look like. However, this diagram is also made based on some assumptions, but we will learn how to draw phase diagram by this diagram, and then in the next session we will go to the further point of discussion that what kind of phase diagrams we can have while solving problems. Now, this is a qualitative discussion in the sense that for the simultaneous differential equation, this is what is this? This is qualitative analysis of what? Of simultaneous differential equation. Simultaneous differential equation. Okay. For simplicity, we are doing a two variable scenario. Things can be made far more complex, but for the time being, we are not interested in all those things. And also those are beyond our scope. Okay. Let me tell you one thing first, that all these symbols, these directional arrows and these minus and plus signs, okay, all of them carry obviously some meaning. Now the construction of the mathematical equations and their slope values, they enable us to mark these signs or these directional arrows. Okay, there is nothing which is kind of presumptuous. We have a structure, we will construct that, and based on that structure we have drawn this diagram, and this is how mathematics always works. So in case of other phase diagrams also, we will have the similar kind of a scenario. We will have a construct, and the construct will have some assumptions to simplify our work or activity, and then based on that we will be able to mark these signs and a second category of arrows which are called streamlines, which we will discuss after some point of time. Okay, so let us start with two equations. So x dash t, so this is time dependent differential equation, and just to ensure that this is indeed a two variable system, that means a system which cannot be dealt separately. Okay, we make x dash t and then y dash t equal to g of x comma y. All right. Okay, so the reason, again I'll say, b of writing x and y here, that is we are assuming a construction where both the differential equations have x and y, is because we don't want to get a scenario where they can be worked on independently, and drawing such a kind of phase diagram will just become a waste of time. We don't want that. All right. Okay. So now, before going into all of this, we need a condition first, and that condition is that these two equations, they have to be autonomous. What do we mean by autonomous? Autonomous means that in the argument, okay, argument cannot have t. Argument or arguments here, arguments cannot have t. By this we are saying that we cannot have a differential equation which looks like this: x dash t equal to f of x comma y comma t. Okay, this is the kind of differential equation that we don't want here. If we have this, we cannot draw this kind of a diagram. Okay, now obviously our we feel an incentive actually to compare these phase diagram to what we have learned earlier in for a single variable differential equation, or a, okay, for the non-simultaneous system, so to say. But we are not, we will not be comparing those two systems and talk about what are the differences and all that, because it is better when things become different to learn the approach that we are going to take here, instead of going back to the memory lane and try to compare, because in mathematics the best approach is always understanding. Using memory instead of understanding is always very dangerous. Okay. All right. So what is our objective here? From the diagram, it's quite clear. The objective is to find direction of movement, of x and y over time. Okay. So that is our objective. And obviously these directional arrows, these 4 set of directional arrows, what does they tell us? They tell that the answer to this objective, okay, that in this section which we named as 3, just to kind of carry forward the quadrant style of marking regions. So here we have 4 regions, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So let's talk about, if we talk about the region 3, then we see here 2 directional arrows, and they are actually the answer to our objective. So we achieved it through this direction of movement of x and y over time. Our task is to learn how to get these directional arrows, because once you get these, the rest of it is very simple. Okay. All right. So now here, first we need is what we call a demarcation line. A demarcation line, to obviously demarcation means that we are going to divide the region in 2 because it's line. So what are those demarcation lines? So first we need demarcation lines. They allow us to segregate the region in which y will be increasing with time and in regions where y will be decreasing with time. And that holds true also for x. So typically the demarcation lines are what you get if you put y dash equal to 0 and x dash equal to 0. So our first task is to draw these 2 lines. Now, given our structure, x dash equal to 0 implies that f of x comma y equal to 0. And from that, using total differentiation is very simple actually to come at the slope. All right. So x is on horizontal axis, y is on vertical, the standard style, and that gives us the dy dx as minus fx divided by fy. Obviously, a standard assumption will be that fy not equal to 0. That's very standard, but it is also mandatory to write it here. In mathematics, if you do not write something, and if it is not very, very trivial, it is when it is a condition, we simply assume that you are including the case. So if I do not write it here, what I will say is that, okay, what happens if it equals 0? Okay, I'll assume that you are talking about a structure which includes a dy dx value of infinite, or rather dy dx value which is approaching infinite. All right. So similarly, we will get dy dx for y equal to 0. So similarly, for y dash equal to 0, we will have dy dx equal to gx divided by gy, and with this condition that gy not equal to 0. All right. So after this, now if I look at the diagram, I will see that what do I see? I see that x dash equal to 0. That's how I marked it here. X dash equal to 0. Okay, it is steeper than y dash equal to 0. Now the natural question that comes in our mind is 2 things. Number one is that, see, there is a minus sign, right? So, but the demarcation lines, these are the demarcation lines. These are positively sloped. That means somewhere between this answer of slope and this diagram, we have assumed some form of negativity in here. This is the first thing. And the second thing is that x dash is steeper than y dash equal to 0. That means we have also said some ordering relation or some comparison of values between these 2 dy dx. Okay. So let us first then write down the conditions over and above these 2 slopes, which will give us a diagram of this kind. Okay. So first, the conditions which will give us positively sloped lines. It's very simple. We just have to make one of fx or fy and one of gx or gy negative. And that's what we just do. So also here we assume, what do I assume? I assume fx to be negative. And that gives us positive slope given we assume fy positive. So these are the two assumptions that makes x dash equal to 0 line to be positively sloped. So fx less than 0 and fy less than 0. The other that we assume is gx greater than 0 and gy less than 0. Now, I was just saying that obviously understanding is always a better approach. I was saying this because these are assumptions, right? They on one hand say that if you assume this, you will get a phase diagram of this kind. They also say that these will change from problem to problem. So instead of what happens when we have these, to memorize what happens when you have these, it is better to understand why when we have these, we have this kind of a diagram. Okay. Now again, the second assumption is about this x dash equal to 0 is steeper than y dash equal to 0. It's pretty simple. We just assume that minus fx divided by fy is greater than minus gx divided by gy. Okay. So now here we have our diagram. This will not only enable us to draw these two curves which are positively sloped and steeper and flatter. This also says about this plus minus signs. We will now come to that. But before that, the point of intersection of x dash equal to 0 and y dash equal to 0 is the equilibrium. And from the studies of differential equation, we know that this equilibrium is of intertemporal type, simply because time is involved here. Okay. Okay. So in our diagram, then E is the equilibrium. Okay. So E is our intertemporal equilibrium here. Okay. Now we will go to how do I get this plus and minus signs. We can get them in two ways. See, for let's say for x dash equal to 0, we had two assumptions on two partial differentials. One is fx less than 0 and the other is fy greater than 0. So first we will go by this, and then we will see that from this condition also we'll get the same result. Okay, so what first order partial with respect to x becoming negative says? It says simply that if x dash del x dash del x is less than 0, which essentially says that if x increases, then x dash x will reduce. Correct? So if x increases, then x dash will reduce. Okay. So x increases in this direction, and that is why we have minus here. Okay, so x increases beyond x dash on right side, x dash reduces. Now from 0, if I reduce, I become negative. So this is my negative region. And once I find that the right side is negative because x increases here, because of this fx less than 0, obviously the opposite side is plus, right? So there is no doubt about that. Now, if you talk about fy being positive, this tells us that del x dash del y is positive. So this again means if y rises, then x dash also increases, right? Now y rises in this direction, and obviously then x dash on its left side, it will increase, and from 0 it will become positive. So this is another way we can see that the left side is becoming positive and the right side is becoming negative. Now, two important things. Number one is that when I am putting a condition on the partials, that is sufficient to get us this plus minus signs. That is first. But obviously, you have to do with only one, and that is sufficient. The second thing, which is more important, is that that when I find that the right side is negative or the left side is positive, then there is no point of explaining why the opposite side is of the other side. That's just too trivial to discuss. Okay? All right. So now for y dash equal to 0, again, we can have the same exercise. I'll just show it for one. We have assumed that gy is less than 0. So gy less than 0 implies that del y dash del y is less than 0. And that means that if y rises, then y dash will become negative. And that's what happens here. So y increases, then y dash reduces. So above the y dash equal to 0 line, it's negative because it's 0 here, and below it is positive. Okay. So that's how we get this minus plus signs. Now let us come to the directional arrows. So how do we get the directional arrows? Okay. Let us first start with x dash equal to 0. Okay. So for x dash equal to 0, we know that on the left side of it, x dash is positive. So let me write like this. On left, x dash is positive. Now what does this mean? This means that as t increases, x of t increases, right? X dash positive means the simple fact that with time x must increase. And that's how we have got these directional arrows. So with time, x is increasing. Remember that since we have taken x on horizontal axis, we are drawing this parallel to the horizontal axis. That's too trivial, right? Okay. Now again, here also, we will have this advantage of symmetric behavior. So if on the left side, x dash is positive and it implies x must increase with time, definitely on the right side, x must reduce, okay, with time. All right, so this is why we get this set of directional arrows. And similarly, now it becomes very easy. So for y dash equal to 0 on let's write above, y dash is less than 0, correct? So this means that as t increases, y of t must decrease, and that's what is happening. The directional arrows are going down. So here, and do not confuse the regions, right? So here and in this region, on the first region, correct? Okay, and obviously the mirror image appears here. Okay, so this is how we get this phase diagram. So up to here, we have completed the first part of drawing the phase diagram. So we have this diagram explained. This is how we get it. Now we will move into a more difficult kind of a problem. And that problem relates to the stability issue of the equilibrium. As we know that for an equilibrium, there are three concerns, right? Existence, uniqueness, and stability. Okay. So we are concerned here about stability. Stability of E. Let's see what happens. Now, how to do that? We will take help of something called a streamline, and we will have a lot of streamlines. Okay. So streamlines, what are they? They are essentially trajectories. Trajectories, that is paths. Trajectories drawn from any initial point. Any initial point. So we are going to choose some points arbitrarily, and then following these directional arrows, we will see how or rather in which direction they are going to move. So if they are moving towards E, then we have a good situation. And when they are not moving towards E, it's not that we have a bad situation, we'll just characterize it with a different name. But this is our initial learning. So we have taken a very simple kind of phase diagram, and we will see that. Okay. So let's draw some streamlines in this diagram itself. Okay. So now this diagram is going to be a bit crowded. Okay. So definitely if I take points from here, then the direction in which it will go will be a vector sum of these two arrows. So it will go like this. This will also go like this. Here we'll have this. And also here we will have this. So, okay. So from any arbitrary point, so these are the first easy kinds of streamlines or trajectories, right? Okay. The harder kind of R, now we are going to consider is this. We'll try to answer this. What if trajectories cross the demarcation line? Demarcation line. So the four arrows we have drawn here, they're pretty simple, right? And they give us this idea that unless we are considering trajectories of this kind, we are crossing the demarcation line. Currently, we can say that, okay, they are approaching the equilibrium, so it's good. Now, speaking technically, understand this. When I'm starting from this kind of a point, okay, let me erase this to make it just a bit cleaner. Right? We can always get the plus minus reference from this side. So if I take a line which is coming from this direction and crossing this trajectory, definitely because of these two arrows, it will go in this direction in region 4, and then after crossing this, it will follow the direction of this streamline in region 1. Okay, so that much is clear to us. But what happens when it reaches the demarcation line? That's the important point to understand, right? So I'll tell you again, in region 4, it will behave like this streamline, and in region 1, it will behave like this streamline. So it will be like this. Okay. The additional thing that is to be answered is what happens at this point. Now, at this point, first we'll draw a line, a dotted line, which is parallel to x-axis. I will explain why I'm drawing this, and the line will go like this. It will go here, then it will reach this dotted line which is parallel to x-axis, and then it will go follow the other streamline. So I'm saying it again. When it starts, it will follow the path of streamline in region 4. Then it will cross the demarcation line in such a way that the tangent at this point will be parallel to x-axis. Okay, it will be parallel to x-axis, and then it will follow the streamline or the direction of streamline in region 1. Okay, now I will come to why the tangent will be parallel to the horizontal axis or the x-axis. This is very simple. The reason is basically this. In region 4, when the streamline is approaching, okay, I'll just say line, the line or the path, let's say that's a better word. So path is approaching y dash equal to 0, right? This is our y dash equal to 0. Now at y dash equal to 0, change in y, change in yt equal to 0. Okay? So because change in yt equal to 0, the only direction which we'll find that is given by the tangent, okay? So the only movement of this path at that specific point will be, so only movement is along x-axis, right? Let me say it again. This path in region 4 in the diagram, okay, it is approaching y dash equal to 0 line. Now, before it reaches this y dash equal to 0 line, both x and y are changing, right? And from this directional arrow, we know x is reducing with time and y is increasing with time. Okay, but suddenly at this point, y dash becomes 0. So at typically this point, there is no movement of y. So the only movement we have at this point is of x. And that is obviously in the direction parallel to the horizontal axis. So this line will be parallel to horizontal axis. Okay. All right. And similarly, we will have the other horizontal x-axis tangent here on the other part of y dash equal to 0, and this line will look like this. Yes, now it is indeed becoming crowded, but that's what it meant to be, right? Okay. All right. And again, to use the idea of symmetry or similarity, or to use the idea for x dash equal to 0, the tangent at the crossing point on x dash equal to 0 will be parallel to y axis for the similar reason. Okay. So it will be like this. And here also it will be parallel to y axis. So the curve will become this. Okay. So, all right. So this is what happens when our trajectories, they cross over the x dash equal to 0 or y dash equal to 0 line. Now we can safely write here y dash equal to 0. Okay. So what do we have now? What do we learn? We learn that while number one is that while in regions, it follows, that is our path, it follows directional arrows, right? Directional arrows. So we get here and then we return to. Number two is what we learned, is this is important, is that on y dash equal to 0, on y dash, okay, so sorry. So on y dash equal to 0, the tangent is of 0 slope, right? And on x dash equal to 0 is just symmetrically opposite. So on x dash equal to 0, it is infinite slope. And we just understood why this is so. The why is the learning, right? Okay. Now, that's why we are saying that it is a very good situation, because you see all the streamlines, they are going to E. So from here, it is going to E, from here also. So now, theoretically speaking, we have infinite streamlines. So now you can ask why then we are considering only, broadly speaking, these two types. Number one, who is directly going towards E, and number two, who is crossing these demarcation lines, right? Because in that infinite number of trajectories, these are largely the two categories of path that we are going to find there. And if we check these two kind of trajectories, whether they are going towards E or not, we can easily comment on the fact of stability of E. So yes, it is true that since we are learning for the first time, purposively we have taken a very nice diagram where everything is well suited, well maintained. The assumptions are helping us, and we have all the trajectories converging to E. So all paths leads to E, not Rome. So all paths lead to E, and that makes it hence stable, right? Okay. Now this is one of the four kinds of equilibrium that we can have in phase diagram for two variable. Okay, so this is one kind. Okay, in the next session we will see what are those four kinds of equilibrium. Just to end, see, I was saying that when this path starting from region 4 is going towards y dash equal to 0, right? At y dash equal to 0, suddenly the yt becomes 0, so it stopped. That means if I talk in terms of velocity, so velocity in qualitative terms. So if I talk about velocity of change of x and y, or rather velocity of x and y with time, obviously, that's why we are taking this term from physics and directly using here. So what happens? We have talked about it while discussing why we have these parallel to axis tangents. What happens is that when I'm approaching y dash equal to 0, definitely the velocity of y decreases, because otherwise it cannot be 0. So observations, what is the observation? The observation is this, that while approaching x dash equal to 0, while approaching x dash equal to 0, x dash decreases, which implies, okay, we will not go like this. So while approaching x dash equal to 0, what happens is velocity of xt decreases. And that's pretty simple, right? It's very simple, because without decreasing, how can it possibly become 0? And obviously same for y. Okay, so here we have completed the first basic task of how to draw a phase diagram, how to draw the demarcation lines, the trajectories, locating the equilibrium, and also to be able to talk about the stability of E. Now, as I said, that we have a very nice situation here. Okay. Now, just to give you a end of time discussion, is that we have, as I said, that we have 4 different kinds of equilibrium in a 2 variable phase diagram, and definitely each type can be divided into each type can be discussed around their stability. So number 1, so this is let me just write, this is what we are mentioning is types of equilibrium. We will discuss it in detail in the next session. So number 1 is node. Okay. So number 1 is node. Number 2 is saddle points. Number 3 is foci. And number 4 is vortex. Okay. So these are the 4 types of equilibrium. What we just did is a node. And from our discussion, we also know that it's a diagram of stable node. Right? So E, just to conclude, E is a stable node. Okay? Okay.